The Mike Wagner Show is powered by Sonic Web Studios.
It's now time for the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. The Mike Wagner Show can be heard on Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, YouTube, iTunes, Anchor FM, Radio Public, and themikewagnershow.com. Mike brings you great guests and interesting people from all across the globe. So sit back, relax, and enjoy another great episode of the Mike Wagner Show.
Hey everybody, it's Mike from the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Looking at a professional website without breaking your budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs at below the competition rate. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show, get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios, take your image to the next level. Also, time to give a official shout out to our official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Molson-Zia. If you love fast-paced mysteries, you'll love Missing by Mia Molson-Zia, available on Amazon paperback and ebook. Missing is fast-paced and intriguing with an unforgettable twist. Takes place in 4 countries, 2 strangers, 1 target, where truth is an illusion and those you love will be the first to go missing. It's available on Amazon and paperback and ebook. Missing by Mia Molson-Zia has garnered great reviews and even loved and enjoyed by Hollywood celebrities, including Joanna Cassidy, Forrest Riley, and many others. So grab your copy today for Goes Missing by Mia Molson-Zia. Available on Amazon. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard at themikewagnershow.com and over 30 podcast platforms, including Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also, Anchor FM, iTunes, Google Play, Amazon, Audible, and Apple Music. And also, take the Mike Wagner Show on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. And for great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com and check out the Mike Wagner Show podcast. And for more great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com/me and Molson Zia for great books and merchandise and more. Also support the Mike Wagner Show on Anchor FM as well as PayPal and the MikeWagnerShow.com. Make sure you donate generously today. He's back by popular demand. He's had some great guests along the way. He's just a blessed man. He's a cowboy. He's a truck driver. He's a singer. He tells it like it is and very devoted to America, and we love him so much. And he's back on the program. And he's also got a very special guest who has 3 master's degrees and an MPA in project management, and she specialized in government policy, also spent 10 years in education, recently at Grand Canyon University, and also counsels nurses in healthcare. And also talks about an incident that happened back in February. And also, they're going to do a special song together called Blue Moon and some other things. Live, ladies and gentlemen, from somewhere in the Pacific Northwest, back by popular demand, the singing cowboy and his lovely niece, James Hendry and Katiebooth. Guys, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks for joining us, and God bless you guys.
Oh, God bless you as well. Thank you.
You ready, Mrs. Katie? All right, here we
Sure.
go.
Okay, absolutely. Well,
are you looking at the same moon as I'm looking at it too? Darling, I know I'm so far away from you. But until I can hold you in my loving arms once more, I'll be looking at the blue moon and sending my love to you. Oh, the battle over here is still raging on. But my love for you, it helps me to hold on, my darling, until I can hold you in these loving arms once more. I'll be looking at the same moon as you're looking at it too.
Yes, I'm looking at that moon while you're far away from me. I pray to God he'll bring you safely back home to me. But until I can hold you in my loving arms once more, I'll be looking at the same moon as you're looking at it too.
Are you looking at the same moon as I'm looking at it too? It shines so brightly in the heaven of blue. Oh, my love, sent from heaven, from God back to you. Are you looking at the same moon? And as I'm looking at it too, I'm looking at your picture, and I hold it close to me as I thank my God for the love he sent to me, until I can hold you in my arms once more. I'll be looking at the same moon as you're looking at it too. Are you looking at the same moon as I'm looking at it too? It shines so brightly in the heaven of blue, from God back to you. Yes, I'll be sending my love to you. Are you looking at the same moon as I'm looking at it too? That's it, Mike.
Wow, that was impressive. Very impressive, guys. And Jimmy, give us an update on what's been happening. I think we had you on last. Oh my gosh, I think I've lost track.
Yeah, it's been about a year ago since I've been on your show. I had some things happen to me. I was a test driver with Jack Roush, who I absolutely love and thank the world of, and it couldn't be a better, greater company to work for. And getting a little bit old, things kind of happen, and I never in my life had an accident, and I probably have about 7 million miles on me driving, and I rolled over 105,000 pounds and walked out the windshield. So God has been with me more times in my life than I can ever dream. And I've had heart attacks, wounded in the arm, came back home and got burnt with 7,200 volts electricity and still live. And
shocking.
And so I just believe that when God's ready to take me home, he'll take me home. There's just too many things happen to me for me not to sit around saying there is no God. I know there's a God without a shadow of a doubt. And I always try to do what's right. So when Roush came to me and they told me they had to let me go, they was very sympathetic about it and very nice about it. And I told them, I said, you know what, guys, I don't blame you. I said, I've owned trucks, and I said, I ran my business. I said, I would have to let somebody go if they did that to me. And I said, I've got 2 retirements already. I don't need any more. I'm doing okay. My wife works, and we've done pretty well for ourselves. And so, I was going to try to stay retired, but man, I tell you something, retirement ain't what I thought it would be. I was about to go nuts. I repaired my house and painted it, and I did about everything there is to do to the house, and I was trying to find things to do, so I started fixing people's mailboxes and going over their house and doing things for them and projects, and really having a great time doing it. But retirement is not what it's made out to be for me. I don't fish, only in the Gulf of Mexico. I'm so far away from the Gulf of Mexico, it's not funny. So I had to have something to do. So I went back to work as I think they call them hikers. And I still write songs. I still play around in the studio. And so I went back as a hiker with Penske, which is another fabulous company to work for. And I shuttle little trucks from one Penske location to the next and work with some mighty fine people. But Mike, people are going to be as fine as you're going to be. Mm-hmm. You always got, the Bible says you must first show love to receive love. It's what you do in this life that counts. It's not what other people, what they do. Don't worry about other people. Just do what you're supposed to do. And I learned that as an old man that I'm going to be judged by what I do. I'm not going to be judged by what you do or Katie, what she does, or anybody else. It's going to be what I do. God's going to judge me as an individual. Mm-hmm. And so I have to make sure that I just do what's right in His sight and love my family. And I've been very blessed with a beautiful family. And you get out of life what you put into life. Simple as that.
Right.
And so, some people just, I think bad luck just finds them if there's such thing as luck. I have no idea, but I just know that I know that growing up, having a single mother to raise me, and by the way, the best mom in this world was my mother, and she went through so much. So when I write songs and I write stuff about a woman, a mother's love. I'm having a problem with my throat this morning. A mother's love. It's from experience. It's from things that I lived. And like we talked about before, I cannot write a song unless it's something that has touched me in my life. And then I write about the history of whatever touched me in my life. Mm-hmm. And so that's where I come up with all these songs. And so I love doing it. I never got paid anything for it. It wouldn't bother. I still do it. It has nothing to do. It's just like Katie said, it has nothing to do with the money behind it. It has to do with the love of the music and using the talent that God gives us. And everybody has a talent. And there's one thing I forgot to tell you, Mike. People keep telling me, you need to write a book about your life. Well, I read a part of my book last night to my wife, and she said there's a lot of things you touched on that was absolutely beautiful and true. But she said, you need to add some stuff about your grandfather. Why was your grandfather important? Why was your grandmother so important? So I've got to go back in and add some notations and stuff to it to explain why they were important. And she's the intelligent one in this family. She just lets me think I am. So that's the way that works.
Oh my gosh.
That's the way that works. So,
hey, Jimmy, I'm going to need some inspiration from you. I'm going to be starting to write a book coming up in January 2022 about the Mike Wagner Show, and I'm having you included. Could you give me some encouragement as well, too, please? I need some support. Thank you very much.
No problem, buddy. You know what? Let me tell you something, Mike. It's just like everybody I've talked to, Roy Thackerson has been one of my greatest inspirations. And George Foreman has been a great inspiration to me. I was in the job corps with George Foreman. And back in the 60s, well, let's go back. Okay, let me go back, and I want Katie to hear this, because there's a lot of things I'm going to say that Katie hadn't heard before, and there's a lot of things she has heard. But it's in my book. It talks about when I was about 12 years old to 13 years old, I ran away from home, and I had to find out more about my dad. And I'm glad I did, because I found out he wasn't that great. And my daddy told me I wasn't his. And when he told me I wasn't his, which I know better than that, I look like him. The older I get, the more I look like him.
Yeah.
And so I got out on Highway 27 and as a kid, and Highway 27 was just a little 2-lane highway back then out of Palmville, and I fell to my knees, and I remembered one scripture that I heard somebody, a preacher preaching about, and it was saying, "Call no man your father, for you have one Father, and that's your Father in heaven." So I begged to God to be my father, and I was crying my eyes out. And a truck driver picked me up and took me all the way back home, back up to Dade City, Florida. And when he did, I probably what influenced me to drive a truck later on, because it was quite a life. And so from that day on, I don't think God has ever turned his back on me. I've turned my back on God, but he's never turned his back on me. Mm-hmm. And from that day on, there has been people put in my life that has influenced me, who has pushed me in the right direction, and who became part of my life. And this life, we don't live in this life by ourselves. We live in this life with a whole lot of other people. And you have to pick and choose at that time in your life when you're young, who you going to let influence you. Am I going to let somebody on drugs influence me, or am I going to let a Christian or somebody who really cares influence me? You have to pick the ones who care to influence you. And then you have to hold on just a sec, please.
Okay. Jimmy, while you do that, too, we're going to be getting with Katie as well, too, and her amazing career. And please don't retire from music. And just want to give you 1 minute to say you're listening to The Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Looking at a professional website without breaking your budget, Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, time to give an official shout out to our official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Molson-Zia. If you love fast-paced mysteries, you'll love Missing by Mia Molson-Zia. Available on Amazon, paperback, and ebook. Missing is fast-paced and intriguing with an unforgettable twist. Takes place in 4 countries, 2 strangers, 1 target, where truth is an illusion and those you love will be the first to go missing. It's available on Amazon and paperback and ebook. Missing by Mia Molson-Zia has garnered great reviews and even loved and endorsed by Hollywood celebrities, including Joanna Cassidy, Forrest Riley, and many others. So grab your copy today for Girls Missing by Mia Molson-Zia. Available on Amazon. Also, check out The Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com on over 30 podcast platforms. Take us with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to The Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter today. And for great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com and check out The Mike Wagner Show podcast. And for more great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com/Mia Molson-Zia for great books and merchandise and more. Also, support The Mike Wagner Show on Anchor FM, as well as PayPal.com at Mike Wagner Voiceover. Also, TheMikeWagnerShow.com. Make sure you give generously today. We greatly need your support. We're back with the ever popular James Hendry and special guest Katiebooth here on the Mike Wagner Show. And James, just want to make sure you're back with us, and maybe Katie can step in. And Katie, you have 3 master's degree, MBA in project management, and spent 10 years in the education field, and also counsel nurses. You're a great singer, and tell us how you got started as well too, along with your amazing singing career.
Oh, well, I guess I don't remember a time when I didn't sing. I started singing with my dad when I was really young. And when I was 5 years old, we played at the Red Carpet Inn in Waco, Texas. And that's where I was born. I wasn't born at Red Carpet Inn, but I was born in Waco, Texas. And we played at the Red Carpet Inn, and I sang a silly little kid song called My Name is Michael, which you probably know. And I won this contest. And so I couldn't sing to the audience. So my daddy just said, well, why don't you just turn around and look at me and act like we're in the music room at home. And so that's how I sang the song. I didn't even look at the audience. And so I won this little thing, and I got bit. That's it. I got the bug, and I could never imagine not singing. I sing all the time, just walking around my house. I don't know. So my inspirations in singing, there's just so many. I mean, Jimmy Rogers, Jim Reeves, Elvis, Johnny Cash, the Beatles, John Lennon after the Beatles, David Bowie, just Andrea Bocelli. I mean, there's just, I'm very eclectic. And so I like a lot of different music and a lot of genres. And I've sang in bands. Started with this band when I was, I've always sang. And so if I wasn't in a band, I actually sang in Texas, in Galveston, when I was going to school I sang for a all-male bar. And so there's just men there. And so I was fine because I, wasn't a man. And I sang, I guess, pre-karaoke. I would get these cassette tapes from this little place called Sing Like a Star. And they would have, on one side, they'd have an example of the singing, and on the other side, they just had the music. And in their studio, you would sing and record it. Well, I wouldn't do that. I would just take the blank music. And I kept them, and I made out a list. And these gentlemen at this bar in Galveston would pick a song and give me a tip and have me sing this song. So I sang there 7 nights a week. I made really the best money I've ever made, actually. The bar paid me $20 a night, but I never left there with less than $300 in my pocket. And my biggest night, which was, of course, during a Pride March, right? I made $1,700 in one night. And I worked there 7 nights a week. So I was making pretty good money for, just a kid with a kid. And I was going to school full time, and then I was trying to be a mom full time because I was a single mom to a 3-year-old at the time. Mm-hmm. And so it was trying, but I did it. I ended up having to drop out of school at that point because my son got pneumonia during midterms, and me, being selfish, stayed with him instead of leaving him to go to school. And he was 3. I could have said, well, I'll be back in 10 hours, and if a stranger comes in to maul you, just don't worry about it. But I didn't do that. I stuck with him. And so I left school until he became more self-sufficient. And then when he was 11, he said, are you ever going to finish your bachelor's degree? And I said, well, if I went back to school now, I wouldn't get my bachelor's degree until I was 32. Mm-hmm. And he said, well, aren't you going to turn 32 either way? And I was like, boy, I don't need that level of truth coming out of you. So I didn't have a choice. I went back to school and I finished my bachelor's degree, and I was working full time. And, but he was more self-sufficient, and I was very lucky with him. He would keep the house clean and do all the laundry and cook. And so all I had to do was work and do my schoolwork and drive. I would drive to the store and push the cart around, and he had menus written out, and so he would do all the shopping, and I would just pay for it. And he was pretty amazing. So he spoiled me rotten as far as housework. I'm still not very domesticated. But,
Jimmy, what do you got to say about that? Should she still do housework or continue school? What do you think, Jimmy?
You know what? I think that girl, Katie, has always been able to do anything she set her mind to. She has never limited herself on anything. And I want to say something about what we did when I used to go out to not Waco. Where was that, Katie? Y'all lived at up around Decatur, yes, Texas. Sir. And they had a beautiful home, and I'd go out there and I'd be going out to the Northwest or something, and I'd stop and I'd see them. And I'd go out there and spend the day with them. We'd sit around with the guitars and And her dad and my sister and all of us and all of the kids would get along. We'd sit around the fireplace. We sang songs.
Mm-hmm.
And like it was, the meeting wasn't. You can't meet with this family
and not
just
sing.
as a family. If you're going to meet, you're going to be singing. Just simply that. The same
every
way.
time.
Every time. It never changed. And when my mother's family, by her brother played on the Grand Ole Opry, and that was Stuart White. He played on the Grand Ole Opry, and then also Bowman White played on the Grand Ole Opry, and so they all was into music. Everybody, my whole family's into music, especially on my mother's side. My dad, when we was younger, he played the harmonica and he played the guitar, and all of us kids, would go to church, and he'd get all those kids up, and we'd all sing songs, Jesus loves me and all them songs. But all of our life has been surrounded by music. Mostly on my mother's side. Her first cousin was Carl Smith. And so it's just something that you're born into, and when you're poor, that's what makes things happen, because you all get together and sing. And
love is thick.
Katie, did you ever? My mother wrote a song, and that's what got me writing. My mother wrote a song called "I Want to Go Somewhere." Now, when we was kids growing up, we didn't have a car to drive. We had friends who had cars, so if we wanted to go out to the Lacoochee River, then they would give us a ride to the Lacoochee River. But we did not have a car. We walked everywhere we went. So we'd always tell Mama, "I want to go somewhere. I want to go somewhere." So Mama sat down and she started playing the guitar, and she just started repeating what we said. And it was so simple of a song. I thought it was absolutely a song that Hank Williams did. But it just goes, "I want to go somewhere. I want to go somewhere. Ooh, baby. I want to go somewhere." That was the song. And she could write a song. She could play a song. She could, like I said, the whole family on both sides. Her daddy is the uncle of Tonybooth.
My dad. I get both sides are musical. Right, my mom's side and my dad's side.
Right, and he did a song called "Well, the Keys in the Bell Box, Come On In," and that was one of Tonybooth's big hits. And so on both sides of this family, it's been nothing but music. And music, when things got bad, you get hungry, you play music, it helped feed you. It feed your soul. So music is in our soul. Music is, Katie, when she sings, I'll get her to send you any of your CDs left, Katie?
Oh, I don't know, probably, but they're all on. I mean, everything I did is online on the CDs. It's online.
But she's on Reverb Nation.
Yeah.
And so I'd advise anybody who wants to hear Miss Katie Booth sing, and somebody knows how to do it. She has a vibrato, and her voice is natural. It's nothing. She just sings, open her mouth, and it comes out her mouth just like Jim Reeves did.
Mm-hmm.
She just has that voice that just, you're sitting there going, why in the world hasn't somebody picked her up? Because of her ability to carry a tune.
Mm-hmm.
And she's a lot better than her Uncle James.
Oh, come on. Don't degrade yourself, Jimmy.
That's just fishing for a compliment right there.
No, Katie, I don't say things that's not real. I tell the truth, and I'm not a liar. I don't have the voice that I had when I was younger. But you know what? There's a lot of things I don't have when I was younger. But you know, I know a beautiful voice when I hear it. And Katie has the most beautiful voice in the world. And I have one of her CDs, and I wouldn't take $1 million for it. It's my treasure. And so, but people need to go to Reverb Nation and listen to Katie Booth. She has, like I said, she's an amazing young lady. What she's had to go through in her life is amazing. Mm-hmm. And she has that blood in her, like my mother. She doesn't know what to give up. She doesn't know how to give up. She won't give up. She pushes forward. Mm-hmm. And so, I'm proud. I'm so proud of you, Katie.
I can't tell.
And I love you, sweetheart. And so, I didn't get to go to the funeral because I had nowhere to stay. And
my sister,
with this here COVID-19 going on, I didn't want to stay in a motel because I don't know how well they cleaned it, and I don't know who cleaned it. So, having a bad heart and my health not as great as it used to be, I just don't take any chances. Mm-hmm. But I'm not afraid of dying. We're all going to die. And
but there's no reason to go out there and roll the dice.
Mike, you said something hard ago, and I want to answer your question.
Okay, go ahead.
Mike, don't never give up, buddy. You are very talented. You're a great DJ. You're a great human being. You got a good heart. You got a beautiful family. You got everything. I like what the Apostle Paul says. Paul talks about when he's in the deepest, darkest dungeons, he counted everything as a blessing. And it doesn't matter where you're at. Don't never give up. God didn't put us here to give up. God put us here to fight the battle. You fight the battle, buddy, and anything I can ever do to help you, I will do my very best to help you. Mm-hmm. And I will always be here for you. You're here for a lot of people. A lot of people have been on your show, and you do a fantastic job.
All right, thank you.
Everything you got, and don't you ever, I never want to hear you give up. That will break my heart. Mm-hmm. So don't do that. You just, if you know you're giving it 100%, when you give it 100%, you can't give no more than 100%. Mm-hmm. You give it everything you got and continue to love what you're doing, because what you're doing is not evil, it's good. Mm-hmm. So don't you ever give up. And that's my answer to your question.
I appreciate it as well, too. I appreciate it. Thank you. I mean, you guys are such a blessing. And, of course, Katie as well, too, that you also had another story to tell, too. You know, back in February that you had a story to tell as well, too, and living to tell about it. And, of course, you know, we're here. It's like you got a beautiful career, too. But then February, you know, this happened to you. And, of course, you're also here for a reason as well.
Yeah, I mean, you figure you have a purpose, and in 1990, well, I mean, my family growing up was kind of I took them as a things not to do list. I wasn't a wanted child. When my mother would get angry with me, she would say, "Well, I should have just aborted you like your daddy wanted me to."
Oh no!
And so you just learn that you're not wanted. I mean, I told my dad at one point that he made me jealous of dumpster babies because at least they know they're not wanted. And so I moved out when I was 12. My mom was doing drugs and my dad didn't want me. So I tried to go back with my brothers when he came and took my brothers, and he pushed me down and said, "You're not, not you." And my brother, Darren and Jason, they both went, and Darren and I were really close, and he was crying and I was crying, because we didn't want to separate. But what it was is that his new girlfriend didn't like girls. She only wanted the boys. So he chose her over me. And so he literally pushed me back with his hand, separated me from my brother, and pushed me back on my butt and said, "You're not going." And so I was left to stay with my mom. My sister was primarily grown, so I was left to stay with my mom, and I was a kid. And so she was not present. She would leave a note, "Hey, I'm going down to the Keys. I'll be back in 3 weeks." I worked, so I've always worked. I started working outside the home when I was 7. And so I was working, so she didn't leave any money on the counter, say, "Hey," or food in the refrigerator or anything crazy like that. So it was always left up to me to work. My mom would, work enough to be able to go to support her bar habit and her drug habit, but not to support her kids. And so, in fact, she told me one time she was dating a young man. She said, "Please don't call me Mom, because I don't want him to think that I have kids as old as you. So just call me Glenda," which is her name. So I just called her Glenda pretty much the rest of my life until she passed away. And I moved out when I was 12 and lived in a camper that goes on the back of a pickup for a while, and then got an apartment in a little old lady and man's house, a little studio apartment. And I just kind of took off from there. There was a couple of instances where I went to my dad's for a total of 3 months on 2 visits, and he once again chose his girlfriend over me in an argument. And so I left the next morning and hitchhiked across the country.
Wow.
14. And it's just, I've just always said, you know what, if you don't want me, I don't want to be here. I'll just go ahead. And I'm perfectly fine with my own company. I don't dislike myself to the degree that I feel like I have to be with others. So I'm pretty lucky in that, I guess. And I like to read, and I like to sing, and I like to listen to books and stay up on politics and news. Like you said, I have a few master's degrees. One of them is an MBA. Another one is a master's in project management. And then the third one is a master's in public administration with an emphasis in government and policy. So I got a 3.8 on one of them and 4.0 on the other two.
Well, amazing.
So, respectfully. So I worked really hard, and I was working full time as a counselor for nurses and healthcare professionals, or for education. So it was pretty challenging. I was taking accelerated classes, so each class would be only 8 weeks long, and sometimes I would take 2 at a time, which is insane. I don't recommend it. Mm-hmm. But I ended up doing fine as far as, my grades, and I owned a sign company as well as worked full time. So I owned a sign company that mainly my husband at the time worked, but he just blew all the money, and I ended up having to file bankruptcy on $3.17 million. And
oh, wow.
Ended up with a queen size bed, a dog, and a motorcycle, and bought a single wide trailer that I still live in to this day. And thank God for that, because like you said, in that February, it was of 2018, right after my mama died. So she died Christmas of 2017. We went to Florida to clean her house and get it ready for my brother to sell, because it was his, and had her service. And I had a gig on Friday night. So I came back on Friday from Florida and sang Friday night, sang Saturday night, went to work Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday morning. I got hit. I got T-boned right at less than a week after my mom's service.
Oh my gosh.
And it rendered me disabled. So I have some traumatic brain injuries. I have at the same time, they found a tumor in my brain, which wasn't related to the accident, of course. I truly have messed up my entire spine from my skull all the way down to the bottom to the sacrum. My right hip, both of my knees, my right shoulder, is all just, I have neuropathy in both of my legs. I can't walk without a walker. Every now and again I can walk with a cane, but I have vertigo and balance issues sometimes. Not all the time, just sometimes. Of course, I don't get to pick which days, right? It just does whatever it wants. And so I'm primarily bedridden because I fall a lot. And so, and I've hurt myself doing that. So they said, we don't recommend you keep falling. And, but the thing is that thank goodness I'm still able to sing. Because I tell you, if I couldn't sing, I don't know if I'd make it. Music is more important to me than mobilization. Music is more important to me than being able to work, even though I love working. And it's been a very difficult transition from being someone who worked and went to school 20 hours a day to being bedridden immediately. It's, you can't plan for that kind of cabin fever.
Right,
and
yes.
when they closed down the world for COVID, I was like, okay, that's what I do already, so it wasn't too difficult. But speaking of music, I mean, my mom's side is my Uncle James' side. Uncle James is my mom's brother. And so their whole side of the family is musical. My dad's side of the family, I've got my cousin Tonybooth, who, like Uncle James said, he did Keys Are in the Mailbox on Heehaw. It was a big hit. He still tours to this day. My cousin Larry Booth is a bass player. And don't quote me on this, but I think he played for Mel Killis. He'll probably correct me if I'm wrong, Uncle or cousin Larry. Just send me a DM on Facebook. But and so he's a famous bass player for years and years. My cousin Tony played at the Palomino forever. He was the house band, so he played all the time. So he was practically. I don't know if he was like quoted as the house band, but he was there constantly. So I think that's really cool. I have pictures of like his name on the marquee and stuff, so it's kind of neat. Yeah, so that's just what I come from. My dad, he won first place in the music video category for a song he wrote called Peace and Rain. He has it on YouTube, and
nice.
It's just, and it was the Gulf Coast Film Festival awards dinner he won. And so it's just always been, I mean, I write lyrics. I'm not musical. I own a bunch of guitars and basses. I own a keyboard, a saxophone, a trumpet, harmonica, whatever. I can't play any of them, but they sure do look pretty. But what I've been given as my talent, I guess, is singing. So I'm
okay, let me ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
Let me ask you a question. I'd like to know, what is your motivation with everything going on? What is your motivation to continue to fight the battle? What is your motivation?
Oh, that's pretty easy, Uncle James. So I lost my daughter in 1991 due to violence. I was 7 months pregnant, and her father, and my son's father, but her father beat me with a lead pipe. And because crack cocaine was brand new, and he wanted to try it out, and he quickly got addicted, and he became a demon. He was just a terrible, terrible person. He was violent prior to that, but whole new level. And he's the kind of feller that would say, "Go get my coffee and don't drop it this time." And well, just having that kind of pressure on you, you're going to drop it. Or if I said heck, he'd punch me in the face and say, don't you talk like that. That's unbecoming of a lady. But it's perfectly fine to punch me in the face. So I lost my daughter. And then I lost my
motivation? What is your motivation?
I'm telling you. So in 2003, I lost my son right at Christmas time. Christmas is just a terrible time. But I lost my son at Christmas time. He was 17. So when he was in the hospital on life support, he was in trauma ICU here in Phoenix. My daughter died in Michigan, and my son died here in Phoenix. And I was holding his hand, and I made a promise to him that I would never do anything stupid, like take my own life, because it would jeopardize us being able to be together again later. And so I didn't want to take any chances of not being able to be with my kids again. So I promised him that I would inhale and exhale and try to find a purpose. And so I did find a purpose in helping people with their education and counseling people with their options for their future and building a better future. But my true motivation is that my best title ever was mom. And once you have the mom gene, you have it forever. So I'm still a mom. Ask any of my friends. And I mom them all the time. And so my best title was mom, and my motivation is to make them proud of me, because I think they're watching me. I think they're with me always. So I want them to be proud of me. And so I would never do anything to risk them being ashamed of me or embarrassed of me or anything other than that, hey, she's moving forward. She's getting purpose. She's brightening people's day. She's helping others that she can. You know, that's just, so my motivation was just to keep my kids proud of me.
Well, I'm going to tell you one thing, honey. You have always made me proud of you.
Aww.
And you kids will always be my kids. From the time that I moved you back to Florida until today, you have always been there.
Just today, like we're done after today, or can I still be your kid later?
Yeah, you'll always be mine. Today, let me tell you, Katie, okay. I played for Mel Tillis.
Oh yeah.
That's where I got my start, sweetheart. I was 12 years old. I was working for Lykes Brothers.
Oh yeah.
I used to go to a place called the Corral in Okeechobee. And I was singing for tips. And Mel Tillis came in, and he heard me singing. I knew 3 chords on a guitar. That was it.
Well, that's
now, I knew 3 different chords, but I could do E, G, and A. I could do G, C, and A. so I could play a song and sang a song, and I was doing some Kitty Wells song. And he came in, and he came up, and he told, I usually make probably $1.75 a night. Now, I could go in, you could play in a bar, but you could not get off of the stage. You was an entertainer. And so he came in and told me, he said, son, you're good. And I'm not going to stutter like him, but he took, and I said, well, sir, most people put a tip in that cap. And I said, and he pulled out a roll of money rolled up, and it was $100 bill he put in my cap. I only made $76 every 2 weeks for Lykes Brothers, but I got room and board. I was fed. I didn't have to go hungry to water. And I began to wonder, how in the world am I going to sing this many songs, because I didn't know that many songs. And he came up to me and he told me, he said, he said, we made our mind up. We want you to go with us on tour. And he said, I said, sure you do. And he said, do you know these songs you're doing? Are they woman songs? I said, yes, sir. It's Kitty Wells. And he said, that doesn't bother you. I said, no, sir. It's a song. It's just a song. And so then he came back and said, we want you to go with you. And he called Bob and told Mama that he wanted me to go on tour. And he knew Mama. Well, he's from Pahokee, Florida. And I was right there around Okeechobee and all that area. That's all Pahokee's real close. So he took me off the stage. He showed me the bus. It said Mill Tillis and the Statesiders. And back then, they didn't have the buses like they have today. People sung back then because they loved it. And he was very talented. And he was my encouragement to continue to go on and to do what I did with my music. And he will always be an encouragement. And so we've had tough lives, but one of the biggest motivations that motivated me was the man that I got on my knees and prayed to, and that was God. God has never forsaken me. He said he would never forsaken you. He would always be there for you. Sometimes you wonder, but I have never even wondered because I know my mistakes and I know I have to answer to God for all of my mistakes. So I pray to God if I've ever hurt anybody that I have been to that person and asked for forgiveness. And I have asked God to forgive me. I can hurt people, but I might hurt your feelings. I might do something that was wrong, but the end result is this. I have to answer to God for everything I've done. That's the important part.
Right.
Katie, Mike, you still with us?
Yes, we are, and
okay.
I've been listening to you the whole time as well too. So I've been listening the whole time, and we'll talk about what else is coming up, especially Blue Moon. I'm glad you mentioned it. You listen to the Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Also brought to you by our official sponsor, the Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Molson-Zia Missing, available on Amazon and paperback and ebook. We'll be back with the amazing duo of Jimi Hendry and Katiebooth after this timeout. 3, 2, 1. We're back with the amazing singing cowboy Jimi Hendry and his special guest, his niece Katiebooth, here on the Mike Wagner Show. And you guys just have a really good intimate conversation. I was listening as well too, and I don't want to interrupt your intimate conversation. We wanted everybody to hear how special your bond is. You guys wrote Blue Moon as well too. What inspired you guys to write Blue Moon? Tell us about it.
Do that again, Mike.
Okay.
I didn't get the last part.
Okay, you guys wrote and sang Blue Moon, and tell us more about it and what inspired you to write it.
Well, what happened is I wrote this song, oh my Lord, I wrote this song about probably 10, 12 years ago. And I've always tried to find, always wanted to do a song where I could have a woman to do a part, and for me to do a part, I wanted a 2-part song. And I played with the Caravan and the Wilsons. They played the Grand Ole Opry, and they could yodel. They could do a double, triple yodel. They were fantastic. And what blew my mind is all my life I always thought that country music, hillbilly music, all came from Virginia, North Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee, all in the South. But these guys are upstate New York people. But they were fabulous. They were so talented. They had so much talent. And Mrs. Wilson, I loved her with all my heart. And so we toured a little bit and did some shows together and stuff like that. And she was a great influence on me also. The whole bunch was. And like I said, they was very talented. And then I I've often thought about, I would hear Conway, Twitty, and Loretta Lynn, and I love Loretta Lynn. I've been to Hurricane Mills and met her twin daughters and met her, and she's a sweetheart. I mean, you couldn't meet anybody more down to earth. These people didn't forget where they came from. They made it big in the music, but they still didn't forget where they came from. They were poor. Dolly Parton was the same way. She was very poor, and they never forgot their legacy. And there's some people that I have met that I think they forgot where they came from. Kenny Lee is like my son. I love Kenny with all my heart. His daddy and I, Vietnam vets, and his daddy died from complication Agent Orange. And I've always talked to and met, and Kenny's been a great influence with me because he's a whole lot better songwriter than I am, and he's able to do things to a song. I'll write a song, and he'll say, well, how does this sound? He'll take and he'll move some words around, and I said, I think I like that better, Kenny. I said, that's really good. Well, he does the same thing. He'll write a song, and he said, how do you like this one? How does this sound? So we compliment each other. But I did that song, Blue Moon, and when I did it, I got with Katie, and I happened to be in Phoenix, so she came down to where I was at, and we sat there and played around with it.
In the car.
She said, why don't you call it
Moonbeam.
Blue Moon in Heaven? And I just, the minute it was, are you looking at the same moon as I'm looking at it too, which was a long title. And so and she said, won't you say, why are you looking at that blue moon? Are you looking at that moon in the heavens of blue? That's what it was, in the heavens of blue. And I went, well, I like that better. And so she and I went outside and sung the song. And I went, if anybody ever does this song with me,
we were in the restaurant talking about
it. That's right. I said, if I ever had anybody do this song with me, I want Katie to do the woman part of this song. I met a young lady up in, they lived right by in Virginia, where the Waltons lived at, the Walton Mountain, the show that was the Waltons.
Right.
And man, you talking about it, that kid had a beautiful voice. And so we just got talking and got visiting one another, and so we went up there where the house was at, the Walton house, the whole 9 yards, and they drove me up there, and I asked her, I said, she told me she loved singing, so I said, well, let me hear you. And when she started singing, it took cold chills me. I went, holy mackerel, this is good. And she did a fabulous job, but nobody like Katie. Katie's got a talent that's just out of this world. And so I've always respected her talent. I never heard Tina sing except when she was kids.
She's a great singer. She was.
I know. Never heard Darren sing.
He was not a great singer.
And I didn't think so. And so, but I've always heard when we would get together. I always heard Katie. I mean, Katie has a strong voice. She has a voice that's a natural, that natural voice. Nothing she had to pick up on or anything.
Yeah, I've never had any voice things or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes out. And then I'll listen to a person sing that's got vibrato in her voice, and Katie has that natural. It just comes natural for her. She opens her mouth up, the words come out, and the harmony is, I mean, it's like, it's like the harmony of a harmonica. It just resonates. And so I listened to her, and she's absolutely fabulous. And the main thing I want to let Katie know is and for the nation to hear it. This whole life is made up of what you get one time through this life, Katie. And this life is made up of what you can do, and then exceed in what you're doing, and don't listen to the criticism. If it's constructive criticism, listen to it. But if somebody puts you
just
down,
negativity,
never don't. There's enough negativity in this world. We got it running the country. We got the biggest negativity in the world running this country today.
It's just very
divisive. The problem is people listen to negativity today. They don't listen to something that's positive. And that same goes for you, Mike. You're the best. I mean, I've been with DJs. Let me go back a little bit here, and I want to make sure you understand what I'm talking about.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
I talked to Howard Bellamy not too long ago. And David Howard, and Howard and I was we was talking. I was asking Howard. Now we're texting, and I asked him. I said, "Do you remember who the DJ was in Dade City at WDCF? Who the DJ was in Dade City?" And he taught music, and we both did not remember his name, and his name was Jordan. Was his last name. And he taught music at the grammar school, so Howard wouldn't know him because he went to the elementary school when we was growing up. And his name was Jordan. And he and they played David and Howard's music on an AM station at WDCF. Now David and Howard played at Club Lake Iola, out of Dade City, Florida, out of St. Joe, Florida, which is part of Dade City. And they played at Club Lake Iola. And you can't ask for a sweeter family in your life.
Oh, and
so when Miss Frances Bellamy, I'd go by when I was in Dade City, and I'd go by and see her. I couldn't leave Dade City without seeing Miss Frances. She cooked in the lunchroom. She drove the school bus. That woman was like my mom. My mother worked and did everything she could do to keep clothes on everybody's back. And Mrs. Francis was the same way. And Mrs. Francis, she cooked in the lunchroom. She drove the school bus. She never stopped working. When David and Howard came out with their first big hit, well, they was working with people in Nashville, and Mrs. Bellamy, they came up with their own record label. They came up with, she became the road manager, their manager. She was everything to them boys. So I was talking to Howard, and I said, I went by, and out of all these years, I said, it's the first time I've seen that gate closed. And I started crying because I missed her. I love her. She was a sweetheart.
Mm-hmm.
And the last time I seen Miss Frances, she was walking with two canes. I walked in the office, which was the house at one time. I walked in the office, and she walks in. She said, "By the Lord, look what the dogs drug in." And she said, "Come give me a hug." And I went and hugged her. And I asked her, I said, "When did you start using two canes?" She said, I've always had two canes. I got two knothead boys. I have to keep them in line. And so she was one of the most powerful women you would ever meet. Nothing ever slowed her down. And David and Howard, Dad, he was handicapped, so she had to do everything. And I think he was a veteran. I'll have to I don't want to say this if it ain't true, but he was a veteran. But you couldn't, them boys could not ask for a better mom than their mother. And when she passed, they didn't announce it. They didn't want a lot of people there or anything. So she passed, and she's in our hearts. Everybody that knew her, but she talking about handicaps. That woman, she didn't let nothing slow her down. Nothing. And you'd go up to the bus, and she would protect those boys with her life. And you'd go up the bus and say, "Is this David Howard Bellamy's bus?" And she'll say, "Yeah, but they're not on the bus." But they would probably be on the bus, because the next thing you know, they're gone. You know, but she always was there for those kids and her daughter. She's got more than just David and Howard. There's more kids than that. But I don't know of anybody, not one person, did not absolutely love and respect her. And one thing in this life, I've said it before on your show, and I'll say it again. Only one thing in this life is not given to you. You have to earn it, and that is called respect.
True.
You get respect when trust comes with respect. If there's no trust, you can't have respect. So they both work together. And in the military taught me how to have respect. And it wasn't my dad. It wasn't my mom. It was who I was made up to be. I've always had respect, from the poorest person to the richest people. I've rubbed elbows with the Likes brothers, Charlie Likes, not Junior, Charlie Likes Sr. There was the richest family in the world at one time. And Mr. Charlie, I loved him with all my heart. And I learned to have respect for that man. He gave me a job when I was a kid, and nobody else would give you a job because you weren't old enough, but you could always be a cowboy. And so he gave me a job, and when he passed, I called Mrs. Charlie, and she was crying, and I said, "I can't be there. I wish I could be there." And she told me, she said, "Papa talked a lot about you, and he loved you." And I said, "I loved him with all my heart," and we both started crying. And I said, "I'm so far away, and I can't be there." Well, what blew me away is that every person that he helped and gave jobs to, she started crying, and she said, "You're the only one that's called me." And it tore my heart out. And I said, she said, "If you ever need anything, just give me a call." And I said, "Miss Charlie, he gave me everything I ever needed. He gave me my work ethics. He taught me that if you work, you get paid." And I said, "I can't ask for more than that." So you have to go through life. God to use our ability that he gave us and use our talent. And everybody has a talent. Everybody. Our talent is not for ourselves. It's for us to use, but it's not for us for ourselves. It's to help other people with. And if we're not doing that, then we're a failure to God himself, and I will not be a failure to my Heavenly Father. Mm-hmm. It won't happen. And so, Mike, you are a wonderful person. You're fantastic at your job as a DJ. Just keep it doing what you're doing and give it 100%. And when you've done that, if you still don't hold what you're doing, you can't say I didn't give it all I had.
And that's very true. Yes, I greatly appreciate it. And, just a couple of things as well, too. Jimmy and Katie, you guys are very amazing. And also, what do you guys got coming up in 2022 and beyond in terms of music and everything else?
I'm hoping, and if you don't mind, Katie, I'm hoping to have plans. I'm either going to, Katie can't get around like she used to. So I'm hoping either come down there and I'll take my grandson and we'll do some recordings and I'll work with her a week or two and then I'll have to come back up here. I don't work full time. I work casual. So working as a casual, I can take time off as long as I let them know when I'm doing it. And I'm planning on this year trying to get back up to Yellowstone. I'm trying to fill my bucket list. I've been all over this country. I've been all over the world. I've been all over this country. And I've never got to see Yellowstone. I never got to see the Grand Canyon. I've seen signs for them, but I have seen the Southwest. And the wife and I, we go on these, I call it my bucket list to be filled up. And we go on vacation once a year and we spend a week to 2 weeks out. And we drive down because it's the West Coast. And so I'm going to try this year also to get back to it. We want to go to Deadwood. I went through Deadwood about 6 years ago. I was so impressed with Deadwood, South Dakota. It's like the old town when Wild Bill, Buffalo Bill was killed. I think they still have that saloon there. And there was more motorcycle riders up there than there was down at Sturgis. I have never got into Sturgis. I had a Harley and I don't get into Sturgis, but Deadwood, that impressed me. And I want to take my wife, let her see it. And then we want to go to, Mount Rushmore. And then from Mount Rushmore, I want to go on up to, Glacier National Park. When I get done with that, then I have pretty well covered every site there is on the West Coast. And then, after that, if God's willing, I want to take her back across through north where you're at, up in that part of the country. And then I want to take her into, Missouri and go by Jesse James's place. And then, just fill my bucket list, man. And then when I die and close my eyes and say, well, I've seen the glory of America. And I've seen things that's important. But you know what, Mike, I think the greatest important thing I've seen in America, the biggest thing I miss, being on the road. I miss all my friends out there. I miss the guys, the people at the truck stops that I've known for all my life. You don't know what you miss until it's no longer there.
Right.
And I think people that I have met in my life are a whole lot more important than the Grand Canyon and all these places. That's my conclusion I'm coming up with, is because I met another one of God's creatures, God's people. And there's a lot of them out there. And there's a lot of people out there that they make that choice in their life. They make the choice not to be accessible, not to do anything with their life. I don't care to meet them people.
Yeah.
But I hope I do something to influence those people to change their minds. So, and Katie, I'm going to say a word today. She cares. Your Uncle James is here for you, honey. And,
I know that.
I love you, sweetheart.
Yeah, that's one thing I know for sure.
And Jimmy, make sure you come up to Bismarck as well, too, as part of your bucket list. You got to do it one more time. You got to do that. So,
you know what? That's what I just said. I said,
I'm just double checking.
Diane, I want to go that direction. I want to
go ahead and etch that in stone.
I want to show Diane,
his wife,
that big river runs right through Bismarck.
get on your pontoon and do that, and I'll meet you there. So we'll do that. Oh my gosh, yeah, that's right. Hey, pontoons, I love that. I think we'll do a show from the pontoon, and Katie can join us. Hey, Katie, and by the way,
have time left. Katie, do you have a song pick out you an acapella for him that you like to do? I asked you to do this on the show.
He did. He asked me to pick out a song to sing to you acapella. And I found one, and just like Uncle James singing women's songs, I'm pretty used to singing men's songs.
Go ahead.
Well, this is a song by Jake Smith, who's better known as the White Buffalo, and he's probably my fourth hero behind John Lennon, David Bowie, Scott Weiland, and then Jake Smith here at White Buffalo. He's amazing. And recently, I got turned on to the Avett brothers out of North Carolina and blown away by those two. But so this is a song by Jake Smith he's the White Buffalo, called Story. So let's see if I can do this. I'll tell you a story of how the past it lies. It dies all of your regrets and all of your glory. Oh, how the time it flies by, he said. Well, I leave it to memories of old fed with the new. Good times and bad, we've had a few. Help me to understand, what can I do? I said, I'll tell you a story of how the past, it lies, it dies, all of your regrets and all of your glory. Oh, how the time it flies by, she said. Well, now we're through. We once stuck together, but we lost the glue. We became one, but now add up to two. It never was up to me or to you, and you don't need me no more. And time will forget him, I'm sure. Oh, I'll shut it down, there they go. Thoughts of him fleeting, and I wish that I could keep them repeating. I'll tell you a story of how the past it lies. It dies, all of your regrets and all of your glory. Oh, how the time it flies by.
Wow, that is amazing, guys. You guys are totally terrific. And where can we find your music at, guys?
You can find me on Reverb Nation. It's just www.reverbnation.com, just like reverberation, Reverb Nation, /katiebooth. It's all lowercase, all no spaces. And I got a bunch of songs on there that I've recorded and some videos and stuff like that. So
we're certainly looking forward to it. Once again, Jimmy Hendry and Katiebooth here on the Mike Wagner Show. Guys, a very big thank you for your time. You've been absolutely amazing as always, and great listening to your chats as well, too, and very heartfelt and intimate. Looking forward to having you again soon. Make sure you keep us up to date. Once again, tell us where we can find your music, what's your website, and how do people contact you?
Mine is the same as Katie's. You can find me on Reverb Nation, James Hendry, Wilsonville, Oregon. And I don't have all that slashes and stuff on mine. I'm not that fancy.
Yes, you do. You just don't know it. It's
I didn't know it was there.
It's www.reverbnation.com/James Hendry.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know I had all those flashes in mine.
You don't have to look yourself up.
No wonder the car won't go. But anyway, so you can find me there, and then you can find me on Facebook. I put poetry on Facebook where I write stuff and do things like that. And I hope to be able to get this. My wife helps me a lot on my writing and stuff because she influences me by saying, you shouldn't have too much of yourself there and tell the reason why your grandpapa and all these people are important. So I got to go back and do some of that. And so that helps me a lot by doing that. But when you start writing about yourself, it kind of gets tough because it brings back some old sores and stuff like that. And I know that the Bible says a man puts his hands up on the plow and looks back, not worthy of the kingdom of heaven.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm looking back to write a little story of my life, like people ask me to do. They say, you need to write a story about your life and what got you to where you're at. Mm-hmm. And so I'm gonna write a book, and I'm gonna put a big word right in it, and it's gonna be luck. That's what they were about. It had to be good luck. But anyway, you can find me on there and then on Facebook, and I'm getting where I'm not caring much for Facebook anymore because there's too many people trying to say who they are, and then they take they copy other people's pages and say they're not the right person, and they try to get you to friend them. So I've had to change my password. Mm-hmm. And I'm getting tired of changing my password. Facebook's not doing a good job taking care of the people on their page. So I like to build my own website. And if I do that, then it'd be mine, and people can go to my website and listen to me. So,
all right,
and that'll tell the truth whether they like you or not.
They're going to go through all that.
You don't get a lot of people on your website. You go, well, must not be that good after all.
Well, I'm on Instagram and I'm on Facebook. I have a music page on Facebook, musician band page. It's just Katiebooth. And then I'm on Instagram under Rocker Girl, which girl is spelled GRRRL. So Rocker Girl 69, which is the year I was born. So don't get any other thoughts in your head. And there's no spaces or anything. So I'm on there, and you can message me on either one of those platforms. You can message me on reverbnation.com as well. You can write me a message. So if anybody wants to get in touch with me, especially if you got some music, I like to write lyrics. I have a whole bunch. Uncle James has heard a bunch of them. I'm not musical, like I said, so I have all these lyrics, but they don't have melodies to them. And so Uncle James is helping me with that. And if just throwing this out to the nation, if you have the ability to write music to words that are already written, which I know is hard and kind of backwards, but that's who you're dealing with, then please get in touch with me, because I have a bunch of songs. Plus, I also just love to write songs to existing melodies, so they usually come to me pretty quickly.
You certainly will do so. That's very amazing. Guys, a very big thank you for your time. You've been absolutely amazing. Looking forward to having you soon. Make sure you keep in touch. Keep us up to date. Looking forward to having you again soon. James, it's always great to hear from you, Katie, and we'd like to wish you all the best. And don't forget to keep in touch. You guys are absolutely terrific as always.
Thank you
Mike,
for having
thank
me.
you so much.
Yeah, I appreciate you. You take care.
The Mike Wagner Show is powered by Sonic Web Studios. If you're looking to start or upgrade your online presence, visit www.sonicwebstudios.com for all of your online needs. Call 1-800-303-3960 or visit us online at www.sonicwebstudios.com to get started today. Mention the Mike Wagner Show and get 20% off your project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level.
Hey everybody, my name is Forbes Riley and I'm an American actress and a TV host, and I was delighted when I got my copy of Missing, which is Extraordinary Relation of Ordinary People based on a real life relationship. It's well written. It's amazing. You know, it talks about a man who has lost his wife and his daughter, and it's very well done. I'm going to highly recommend that you go get your copy of Missing. It is a powerful, exciting read. Mr. Mian Moshe Zia. He is the author of Missing, and I want to give a big shout out and a kiss all the way halfway around the world to my dear friend. Check him out at Mia's website. It's called www.miamoshenzea.com. Missing, available on Amazon. Again, I'm Forbes Riley, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to The Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. The Mike Wagner Show can be heard on Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, YouTube, Anchor FM, Radio Public, and themikewagnershow.com. Please support our program with your donations at themikewagnershow.com. Join us again next time for another great episode of The Mike Wagner Show.